Hello and welcome to The Top Story, a podcast with the headlines of the day from our correspondents around the world. I'm Do Hongyu. Coming up in this edition, Paetongtarn Shinawatra has secured majority support in parliament to become Thailand's new prime minister. The ceasefire talks are underway in Doha, but the number of deaths in Gaza is still rising. And the World Health Organization has warned of further imported cases of monkeypox in Europe, as Sweden reports the first such infection outside Africa. We begin from Asia. Paetongtarn Shinawatra has secured majority support in parliament to become Thailand's new prime minister. The vote follows a court-ruled dismissal of former Prime Minister Seta Thavisin after an ethics violation case earlier this week. The 37-year-old daughter of former Prime Minister Thaksin Shinawatra will be the youngest ever leader and the second woman to run the Southeast Asian nation. Chawarat Yunjiranan has more from Chiang Mai.
It is very historic as Thai leader Paetongtarn Shinawatra has officially been voted as the Thai Prime Minister-elect with votes of 314 to noes of 146 in Parliament. The next step for her is that she will be endorsed by the King and then sworn in. It was a very smooth and fast process. She is the fourth member of the Shinawatra family to be elected as the Prime Minister of the country, the fourth. And she is the youngest prime minister as well. She's only 37 years old. And apparently the opposition party, the People Party, that had recently been dissolved as the former Move Forward Party, their new leader is also the same age. He is 37. So it seems as if we're entering you could say, a quote, millennial age here in Thailand for its leadership. She's received full support from the coalition members. And when she was announced as the candidate, she will be proceeding with the former government's policies, but there's no clarity exactly as to whether or not they will proceed with the 10,000 baht digital wallet, basically money handout for the people, because earlier her father was rumored to have said that he wasn't in agreement with this policy, and this policy is at the heart of the campaign for the Thai party because a lot of the public want that money to boost the economy and their livelihoods as the economy hasn't been doing so well. But Paetongtarn is very strong. She is one of the main reasons why the Thai party was so successful in their campaign coming into power, and she has shown the resilience.
That was Chawarat Yunjiranan reporting. Turning to Europe, Ukraine's incursion into Russian territory continues. The battles focus on the Kursk and Belgorod regions in Russia. Ukraine has claimed control of Sudzha, a town 8 kilometers from the border. Moscow says its forces have recaptured some areas in the Kursk region. Mogumi Lim has more from Kiev.
Ukrainian forces are continuing to advance. They're continuing to take more territory inside Russia's Kursk region. President Zelensky confirmed that Ukrainian forces have now captured the entire town of Sudzha. Now, this is the biggest town Ukraine has captured since the start of the operation. Sudzha has a pre-war population of 5,000 people. This would bring the amount of territory that Ukraine has captured to a total of 1,150 square kilometers, a total of 82 settlements, an increase from 74. Kiev also said it had opened up a 24-hour hotline for residents inside Kursk to request humanitarian aid, to request if they wish to evacuate to Ukraine. President Zelensky, in his meeting with officials, he made clear that Ukraine will be abiding by international conventions and international humanitarian law. Ukraine's top commander, Alexander Syrskyi, said that Ukraine had established its first military administration inside Ukrainian-held parts of the Kursk region. We do not know what the exact purpose of the administration is, but it is looking like Ukrainian forces are digging in. Now, more Russian soldiers are also being captured every day. We also do not know the exact figure of how many Russian soldiers have been captured, but according to sources cited in a Financial Times report, the figure is in the several hundreds, and Ukraine and Russia have already begun talks about future prisoner exchanges.
That was Mogumi Lim reporting from Kiev. Russia has also aired footage of the ongoing evacuations from the Kursk region. Russian officials say about 120,000 people have either been evacuated or have fled the conflict-affected areas on their own. Dasha Chenishova reports.
The evacuations have been ongoing, and the acting governor of the Kursk region has confirmed that there will be even more people taken away from the areas where the fighting is taking place. So this incursion is still ongoing, with the Russian MOD actually establishing a coordinating council for military security of border regions. That's according to the Russian Defense Minister Andriy Belousov, who has been meeting his security officials on Thursday. We understand that the Russian authorities in the Kursk region have constantly been evacuating people. The Lashkovsky district was subject to the mandatory evacuation. And in the neighboring Belgorod region also, we keep hearing about the situation being very tense, and the local authorities declaring the situation there as the federal emergency. We understand also from some of the charities that have been helping the people who have been evacuated from those border regions, that it is the psychological help that is paramount for those who have been taken away from their livelihoods and their houses in those border regions. So certainly the situation is developing, even though the Russian Ministry of Defense that they have regained the control of one of the settlements of Krupinets, that's in the Kursk region. But again, the situation is changing rapidly, and even though the Russian Ministry of Defense says they are preventing the further advances of the Ukrainian military, more people are being taken away from those regions.
That was Dasha Chernyshova reporting. In the Middle East, the Qatari Foreign Ministry says the Gaza ceasefire and hostage talks will continue on Friday. Thursday's talks involved representatives from Qatar, Egypt, the U.S., and Israel. A senior Hamas official says any ceasefire deal must involve the total withdrawal of Israeli forces from Gaza. Family members of Israeli hostages have held a rally calling for more international pressure for the warring sides to reach an agreement. Jonathan Rijev has more from Tel Aviv.
Israel does hope that things move forward, and it can be seen from the high-profile delegation that was sent, headed by the head of Israel's Secret Service, the Mossad, Dadi Barnea, and also the head of the Internal Security Agency, the Shabak, Ronen Bar. They're high-profile delegates with quite a wide mandate from Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, so a lot of expectations. Hamas is not officially participating, did not send an official delegation, and even if they would participate, it's not as if there would be direct negotiations between Hamas delegates and Israeli delegates, or even Hamas delegates and American delegates, as the United States views Hamas as a terror organization. Therefore, Hamas may not be officially present, but they're close by, in close consultations with the mediators, especially the Qatari hosts. The hostage families are saying that some hostages can be saved now, but if they're not saved now, it will be too late to save them. In this sense, we can speak of the statement coming out of Hamas this week, saying that a hostage was actually killed by his captors from Hamas. The families are saying that if the story is true, then whoever that hostage is, he could have been saved if a deal was reached some time ago. He was not saved, and that for the remaining living hostages, it's time to reach a deal, save them before it's too late. The Israeli delegates and the Israeli public understand that there are a lot of obstacles to go. Some conditions set out by Hamas and some conditions set out by Israel are very, very far and hard to go to breach between the two.
That was Jonathan Rijev in Tel Aviv. While the ceasefire talks are underway in Doha, the number of deaths in Gaza is still rising. Gaza health officials reported on Thursday the number had surpassed 40,000 after more than 10 months of fighting. Akram Al-Satari reports.
Other appalling number is the fact that around 142,000 Palestinians either killed, injured or missing. The number of missing is 10,000. The number of people killed is 40,000, and remaining ones are the ones who were injured, and that makes up around 7 to 8% of the total population in Gaza, while around 95% of the Gazans are displaced, and they have been on constant displacement every 1 week and every 10 days, and that shows you the nature of life in the Gaza Strip and the stressors that has been caused by the ongoing bombardment and the new reality unfolding in the Gaza Strip, where it became a reality of continuous displacement, continuous targeting, continuous killing, and continuous injury. Well, the Gazans have been downplaying any possible impact resulting from those negotiations because, number one, Hamas is not there, and number two, because they have been following the news about the Israeli Prime Minister asking for more conditions to be met and also developing some more conditions, and not cooperating enough with the American administrations and with the mediators who have been relentlessly trying to make ends meet. The Palestinians who have been subjected to that ongoing bombardment and who have been bidding farewell for their dears who were killed, and also hoping a quick recovery for their dears who are injured and struggling to survive, and also seeing themselves and their dears struggling to get some water and food and decent basic needs, are very pessimistic about the possibility of seeing any political breakthrough when it comes to those negotiations. However, they're still hopeful that this whole madness, as described by the Palestinians, would come to an end sometime soon.
That was Akram Al-Satari reporting. Finally, in Africa, the World Health Organization has warned of further imported cases of monkeypox in Europe, and Sweden reports the first such infection outside Africa. Swedish health officials say the person was infected while in Africa and is receiving treatment. Meantime, the Democratic Republic of the Congo has seen many cases and deaths related to monkeypox in Africa. Joy Kirukijuma has more.
The scars from the mpox pustules are still visible on Grace Kabuo's face. Scars that are replicated on a handful of other children in a camp for displaced people near Goma in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Grace has recovered, but her mother says she's still unsure how her daughter got infected earlier this month.
I just watched helplessly as the symptoms appeared on her body.
Grace had one of the first confirmed mpox infections in the growing camps near Goma. 35 cases of the disease have been confirmed in Goma since July 10, mainly among adults living in the displacement camps. But doctors treating patients at a nearby facility that was formerly an Ebola treatment center say they have also seen 130 suspected mpox cases, almost entirely in under 18-year-olds in the last month.
50% are even less than 5-year-old, up to the age of 18. That's 95% of the cases. So you can see that over 18s are just 5%. The most common route here is direct contact from a sick person to a non-sick person. And here, children, they play together. They have enough time to play. Recently, they were in school. The schools are closed now. But despite that, contact continues in the neighborhoods and in the displaced persons camps. People are side by side.
Congo is facing 2 outbreaks simultaneously. One caused by the endemic Clade 1 and another due to a variant of it, 1B, that spreads easily through close physical contact. Experts say work is underway to investigate the new variant's transmissibility and severity.
Children will be exposed, they will be affected. At the moment, they are few in number, but we wouldn't be surprised if that number grows.
Experts have also expressed concern that some cases could be going undetected.
What we fear is that when investigations are not carried out properly and there is no follow-up of contacts of confirmed cases, this is a major challenge for us. And we hope that, especially in the camps, we will be able to organize contact follow-up with community relays and community leaders, as this is how we hope to break the chain of transmission.
Currently, there are no vaccines or specific treatments for mpox available in Congo outside of clinical trials. It is hoped the vaccines found in other countries can be made available in order to tame the spread of the disease in the DRC.
That was Joy Kirukijuma on the monkeypox epidemic in Africa. Before we go, here's a recap of today's top stories. Paetongtarn Shinawatra has secured majority support in parliament to become Thailand's new prime minister. The ceasefire talks are underway in Doha, but the number of deaths in Gaza is still rising. And the World Health Organization has warned of further imported cases of monkeypox in Europe, as Sweden reports the first such infection outside Africa. And that's it for this edition of The Top Story, a podcast that brings you world headlines every weekday. For more news in politics, business, sports, and culture, you can subscribe to the Beijing Hour, a 1-hour podcast news magazine program. We welcome and appreciate all ratings and reviews. I'm Do Hongyu. Thank you for listening.